We're going to begin reading at verse number 1. I'm reading from the ESV, or the English Standard Version of the Bible. I rarely read from the King James Version simply because nobody uses these and thous and didst, hadst, nottest. So I want you to understand what I'm saying. I don't want you to spend time trying to figure out what the Bible says and what I'm saying. So, just this plain English version. Joshua chapter 6, verse 1. When you got it, say got it. When you're ready, say go. It reads, now Jericho was shut up inside and outside because of the people of Israel. None went out and none came in. And the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have given Jericho into your hand, with its king and mighty men of valor. Verse number 2, one more time. I have given Jericho into your hand, with its king and mighty men of valor. Do me a favor, look at your neighbor, and if you sit by somebody you don't like, it's too late, you shouldn't have said that. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm on the verge of victory. You can take your seats. I'm on the verge of victory. Do me a favor, because that was kind of quiet. Look at another neighbor and say, I'm on the verge of victory. All right, that didn't work. Do me a favor. Look at somebody you know, go celebrate with you and tell them, I'm on the verge of victory. 2010, June 11th, 2010 to be exact, Columbia Pictures released a remake of a movie that came out in 1984 entitled The Karate Kid. This version stars Jaden Smith before the dresses, and it stars Jack Chan. Jaden plays a 12-year-old black boy named Dre Parker that has to move from the United States to Beijing because his mom's job transferred. And as they arrive at their new home in Beijing, Dre meets a friend that takes him to a local park to play basketball because he assumed that because Dre is a brother, he knows how to play basketball. And while they are there, Dre notices a young lady named Mei Ying. He develops a quick crush on Mei Ying. Unfortunately, Chang, who is the neighborhood bully and local kung fu champion, has a crush on her as well. So they get into a fight and Dre loses tragically. But it doesn't end like that, because every time Chang gets a chance, he assaults Dre until one day Chang and his gang cornered Dre and they were about to do him serious harm, but an unlikely hero, Mr. Han, the building maintenance man where Dre and his mother live, came to his rescue. Dre asked Mr. Han to teach him how to fight, teach him kung fu, but he would not. But what he did do was agree to go with him to the bully's karate teacher to get him to encourage the bullies to leave Dre alone. Well, the teacher was as big of a jerk as the bully was, and he said, I'll let him leave him alone, but he's got to fight him first. And so Mr. Han says, they got to fight. They're going to fight at the national tournament. That gives me time to prepare my student. And so Dre was upset at first, excited, after he found out Mr. Han agreed to teach him the art of kung fu. But when he showed up at Mr. Han's place ready to learn how to defeat his enemies, he heard a song that sounded like his familiar song his mother used to always sing. Pick your jacket up. Hang your jacket up. Don't put your jacket on, pick your jacket up. Hang your jacket up. And day after day, he came to Mr. Han's house, and this is all he did. Drop your jacket on the floor. Pick your jacket up. Put your jacket on. Take your jacket off. Hang your jacket up. Drop your jacket on the floor. Pick your jacket up. Put your jacket on. Take your jacket off. Hang up your jacket. Take it off the hook. Drop it on the floor. Pick up your jacket. Put on your jacket. Take off your jacket. Hang it up. He did it with no enthusiasm. He did it with no effort. He didn't even realize that what he was going through was preparing him for where he was headed to. He didn't appreciate, here we are again, the process. Look at your neighbor and say process. He was about ready to quit. He'd had enough. He told Mr. Han, I'm gone, I'm done, you're wasting my time. Mr. Han stopped him, Says, Dre, come here now. Came to him and told him to do the same thing. He said, pick up your jacket, put on your jacket, take off your jacket. But this time it was a little differently, because to take his jacket on and off, Dre discovered were to block blows that were coming from the side. The action of picking his jacket up was to avoid blows from above and then block kicks from below. And hanging up his jacket taught him how to break strongholds and counterpunch. But I'm trying to get you to understand, not to be interested in the Karate Kid, but to learn this lesson today. I want to talk to somebody who's frustrated with the process. I want to talk to somebody who believes you're wasting your time with what you're going through because you can't see the value and you can't see the lesson. I want you to know, when you feel like quitting, remember I told you this, it's always too soon to quit. You never know how close you are to breaking through to your victory. You never know how close you are to learning lessons that can change your whole life. Give your neighbor a high five and tell them it's always too soon to quit. Well, we didn't get to the text, so I don't hold you long tonight. I want you to understand this and know this. Each time in the Bible that we've seen waters part, it's because God was inviting his people into a new era or a new beginning, and this time was no different. The Bible says that the children of Israel had just crossed the flooding Jordan River, and now they're on the verge of victory. Somebody shout, the verge of victory. Listen, they just come through a 40-year period where the promise was on pause, and now they are on the periphery of possessing the promise. Listen, they were selected by God, sent by God, and sustained by God. Look at them now. After 40 years of meandering, now they've gone from manna to manifestation. They've gone from the land of not enough in Egypt to the land of just enough in the wilderness to the land of more than enough in the promised land. They have a mindset for more. They now have a mentality for more. But Pastor Davis, there's a problem. Verse 1 says Jericho was shut up. And it was shut up because of the reputation of the children of Israel. None could come in and none could go out. So listen to this picture. They wandered around in the wilderness for 40 years. Most of their ancestors and forefathers had already gone on to be with the Lord. And they finally got to the promise, and the promise was padlocked. They finally got to the promise, and there was a barrier blocking their blessing. They had surrendered. So they were asking themselves, has God let us survive the wilderness to simply let us be conquered by a wall? Listen, this was a trying time in the life of God's people. They had a new leader. They were in a new land, and in the new land with a new leader, he had no answer. But here's the good news. Every time direction was needed, the Bible said the Lord spoke. Look at Joshua chapter 1, verse 1. The Lord spoke. Joshua chapter 2, 4, verse 2. The Lord spoke. Joshua chapter 5, and the Lord spoke. Joshua chapter 7, and the Lord spoke. Joshua chapter 8, and the Lord spoke. Let me tell you something. Just because you've been shut up doesn't mean you've been shut out. Let me help somebody in here. I don't care what your enemy or the enemy tries to do with what God has planned for you. Because understand, you have to understand that God works in his own way. The Bible says in mysterious ways. It's only mysterious to us. It's normal to him. And just because we don't understand, it doesn't mean it's mysterious. It just means we've been miseducated. You have to understand that God can open any door because he made every door, and he knows how to. Who's the best locksmith? You can't find nobody. I wish I had some people in here tonight that knew that God knows how to open doors. And is there anybody in the room that's ever had to face a door that was locked, but God opened it? Anybody here know he can open doors no man can close? He can close doors that no man can open. And when there is no way, he has the power to become your way. You need to understand. Anybody here ever been in a situation when you felt like you wanted to give up? Anybody here ever been in a situation when you felt like you wanted to throw in the towel? Didn't God bring you through? Didn't God bring you out? Well, you have to realize he didn't bring you through that to let this throw you off. You gotta understand that your past was just preparation for your present. Listen, if God didn't mean for you to win today, he could have let you die yesterday. if he didn't mean for you to stand today, he could have let you fall yesterday. Verse 2 says, and the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have given Jericho into your hand as king and as mighty men of valor. Now let's go through a lesson real quick, because this word see, everybody shout see. This word see is in the active voice, which means the subject has to perform the action for himself. So he's saying, I can't show you, you have to see. I won't show you until you see. Why? Because spiritual perception precedes physical reception. In other words, you got to see it before you see it. What do you mean see it before you see it? You got to see it in your head before God lets you see it in your head. See, faith is not believing God can, it's knowing that God will. Faith is walking like something is so, even when it's not so that it may become so. You got to look at your neighbor and tell them you got to see it first. Maybe the reason you can't see it is because you surround yourself with too many sightless saints. You don't think the people around you that don't have sight can ruin your life. Ask Joseph. Shared his dream with vision villains, and they tried to kill him and his dream. See, if you're going to learn somebody to hold your dream, make sure they're dream keepers. And if they're got to be good dream keepers, because you might give somebody your dream to keep it safe, but they can't keep it for safekeeping. So listen, you got to say, tell somebody you got to see it. Y'all got a little more quiet. I thought y'all was going to be saying, let me park right here for a second. Let me help some young lady in here, because I get asked this question all the time in California. How can I make myself ready? I'm ready to be married. What am I doing wrong? I've been waiting and I've been praying. I've been looking. And you know what? If you want to be who you want to be, you got to see yourself as that. Now, let me tell you something. If you see yourself as something, that means you believe yourself to be something. And your behavior automates your belief. Don't you tell me you're a virtuous woman when you're acting like another kind of woman. And I can always tell, ladies, if you think that you're worth dating, if you think that you're worth being treated right, if you think you're worth a man committing himself to you, if you think you're worth a man taking care of you, then you ought to see it before you can show it. How do I do that? You treat yourself right. You date yourself. You get in the shower for yourself. Pick out a sexy dress for yourself. Do your hair, whoever hair you wear, for yourself. Open the door for yourself. Take yourself out. Order yourself food for your own mind. Eat your own dessert, and when you go home, hug and kiss yourself. Tell somebody you gotta see it. So listen, if you're going to move from being on the verge of victory to victory, first of all, write this down. Now, first of all, the first step in going from the verge of victory to victory is you have to see yourself occupying the place. Somebody say, occupy the place. It says in verse number 2, and the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have given Jericho into your hand. See, here's what's going on. Joshua, God is responding to what he knows Joshua is feeling. Joshua's problem is he's looking at the wall. But if you notice, when God responds, he doesn't talk about the wall. He doesn't talk about the problem, nor does he talk about the process. He talks about the place. So what's the lesson in this? Stop talking about what God ain't talking about. Why would you waste your time talking about your enemies when your God is undefeated? Why would you waste your time talking about what you wish you had when God already has whatever you need? Why would you waste your time talking about where you have not been when God is able to take you anywhere you want to be? I wish I had somebody in here that knew the Lord for themselves and knows everything you need, God got it. Everything you got, God gave it to you. Everything you know, God taught it to you. Every place you've been, it was God that was leading you and guiding you. Tell somebody, just listen to where he said you're going. So stop talking about what God is talking about for the simple fact, if he's not concerned about it, why am I tripping? What I should be concerned with is this. He told me it's already in my hand. Now, I don't know about you, but I see my hands every day. And if the Lord is telling me something that's sitting over there is in my hand, I need to know what it means. So already in my hands, this word hand is a metaphor. He's saying this, metaphorically speaking, what he's saying is what you are reaching for is closer than you think. It's closer than you think. What do you mean? It's physically closer than I think? No, it's mentally closer than you think. All you have to do is this. So once you say this, I've given it to you, okay, God, how do I get it? That's my next response. Well, he sees, so let me move fast. Maybe it's right. If you're going to move from being on the verge of victory to victory, first of all, you have to see yourself occupying the place. Secondly, you have to see yourself operating in power. Somebody say operating in power. Let me show it to you in the text. And the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have given Jericho into your hand and its king. The king is representative of the person who's calling the shots. He said, not only am I going to give you the place, but I'm going to give you the person that's calling the shots in the place. In other words, see somebody here, I know you put your application in and you're waiting on the answer for that job. You don't have a lot of faith in it because you know there's some other people more qualified than you. But he's saying, don't worry about the job. I'll give you the person that's doing the hiring. I know that house is a little bit outside your budget and your credit said they shouldn't approve your loan with a low enough interest rate where you can make the payments on your salary, but I'll give you the person that owns the house. I know. You're not making enough money and you haven't been on your job long enough to make the raise you need to make the ends meet. But don't worry about how long you've been there in seniority. I'll give you the person signing the front of the check. He says, I know you're in trouble, and I know this might be your third or fourth strike, and I know they have enough evidence against you, and this time you're going down. They're not going to understand. You're not the same person you used to be. Don't worry about how good the prosecution is. I put the judge in your pocket. He says, I'm going to give you the one that's calling the shots. See, what was going on here is Israel is suffering from what I call poor self-perception. Poor self-perception. How do I know? It was just 40 years ago when they had gotten to the door, the same door of the same promised land, and they sent against God's, against his better judgment, against his advice. They sent some spies to make sure God knew what he was talking about. And when they came back, and Joshua and Caleb said, listen, the land is everything God said. It's flowing with milk and honey. Look at these grapes that took 2 men to carry. I know y'all sitting there acting like that ain't nothing, but when the last time you seen some grapes you needed help carrying around the house? He said, look at these grapes. They're bigger than we've ever seen before. And then the other 10 said, yes, they're telling the truth, but then they made up a new word. There's some giants in that land. And looking at them and looking at us, they look like giants and we look like grasshoppers. Now, the people in Canaan didn't tell them they were grasshoppers. They told themselves they were grasshoppers. You have to stop determining your worth based on what you're up against. You have to stop looking at the other side and realize who's on your side. If God be for me, I don't care how many people are on the other side. If God be for me, I don't care how big and bad they are. If God be for me, you say, listen, I'm going to give you the sick, but then I'm going to make sure that those in power respect your position. He says, I'm not going to make you royalty. I'm going to make you relevant. I'm not going to make you royalty. I'm going to make you relevant. I'm going to make you mean something. I'm going to make you valuable. I'm going to make your word mean something. I'm going to make your presence mean something. I'm going to make your desires mean something. I'm going to make your opinion mean something. He says, I'm not going to make you royalty, but I'm going to make you relevant. Joshua, see, I have given into your hand Jericho and the king and the mighty men of valor. You can overcome some people. See, you got to understand, God won't let you occupy the place. And he won't let you operate in power to be defeated by mighty men. He's not going to let you get this close and not go home with the teddy bear. Y'all know what I'm saying? I understand they're in the city. I understand they're undefeated. I understand they got a reputation. I understand they're mighty men of valor. I understand they're valiant. But guess what? You're more valiant. I understand they are mighty, but you are mightier. Here's something everybody knows. Anybody who has played athletics knows this. For your great to come out, you have to go up against greatness. You don't play your best game against your worst competition. That's my argument with Kobe's 81. He did it against the worst team in the league. Your greatness ought to come out. No, I made some people mad, especially y'all in California. It's too bad. You get over it. Listen. For your greatness to come out, you got to go up against greatness. God is not going to move every obstacle. Some things you're going to have to defeat. Some things you're going to have to whoop. Some things you're going to have to shut down. Some things you're going to have to squish. Some things, some fires you got to put out yourself. We get scared when we think we got to fight on our own, but you got to remember how you've always fought. See, we think when we get to a certain point, we have to change the way we fight. No, you've been fighting your whole life. Maybe y'all had it easy, but since I grew up here, we've been fighting our whole life. All my life, I've been having to defy the odds. All my life, I've had to be an overcomer. All my life, I've had to take everything I got. Nothing was given to me. Everything I got, they didn't want me to have it, but God. And if the truth be told, you got the same testimony. Just look at your past. This enemy you're facing now ain't the first enemy you had to face. You ain't a rookie to struggle. You're not a rookie to a fight. But just start remembering and reflecting. What happened the last time you cried? Who was it that wiped your tears away? What happened the last time you failed? When he picked you up and give you another? What happened the last time your back was against the wall? Won't he make a way where there is no? Who healed you the last time you were sick? Let me tell you something. If he was able to do it the last time, the same God hadn't lost any power. He's the only God I know who doesn't lose anything from subtraction and doesn't gain anything from addition. If he did it back then, if he placed you there, he'll prepare you for them. If he placed you there, he'll provide for you there. If he placed you there, he'll protect you while you're there. You got to see yourself doing great things. You got to see yourself overcoming. You got to see yourself not making the same mistake. You got to see yourself debt free. You have to see yourself happy. You have to see yourself wealthy. You have to see yourself. Stop seeing yourself as an employee. Make your dream to be the employer. Stop looking for a lender and look to be the borrower. Stop settling for being the tail when God said you're the head. If you see yourself doing great things, you won't be surprised when it happens. I don't know if you watched the Final Four Monday night, but when that guy hit the last shot, the only person who looked surprised was everybody but him. He already had a three up because he saw himself doing great things. When it happened, he wasn't surprised. That's why I don't understand y'all. When God comes through for you, you act like you didn't expect him to come through for you. The only reason I pray is because I know he hears and answers prayer. Let me finish it. Listen. Verse 3, he says, here's what you got to do. We ain't never been in a fight. He said, get all the willing men. Have all your soldiers. You tell them they're already soldiers. Said, circle the city one time. Repeat this for 6 days. Said, have the priests carry 7 ram's horn trumpets in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around 7 times. On that 7th time, let the priests begin blowing on those horns. And then a long blast with the ram's horn. When you hear that, all the people are to shout at the top of their lungs with a great shout. When you do that, the wall will fall flat. Now we've heard about some fights, but we've never heard of winning a battle with a shout. Never heard of an army being defeated with a musical serenade. But I want you to pay close attention to what this text says. He says that when you come out, let them shout with a great shout. 2 different words in this sentence. The first Hebrew word for shout is ruah. It means to split the ear. It means to shout for joy. It means to sound the alarm because victory is near. The second shout is teruah. It means a shout of joy. It means a rejoicing shout, a shout of jubilee. And so there were 2 shouts. There was one shout for war, and the other shout was for worship. He said, when you come out, I want you to give a war shout. And then I want you to lead the people in a shout of worship. Well, why was God telling them that they needed to start a fight and then go into worship? Because there were 2 parties involved in this time of war. He said, shout for war, because war is what God does best. And then he said, shout for worship, because that's what my people do best. Well, why wouldn't you want your people to start praising during the time of a war? The Bible says that my God, he loves to inhabit the praises of his people. operating in power. He'll let you overcome some people. Listen, you don't have to fight by yourself. I know a God who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you could ask. Someone here today, this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity. First of all, to receive Christ into your life. The battle is a lost cause unless you're on the winning side. Today can be the best decision you'll ever make. Some of us are in a dead end because of bad decisions. You can erase all of those bad decisions with the best decision tonight. The best decision could be to choose Christ as Savior. Maybe you are